History of poetry. Poetry is an imaginative awareness of experience expressed through meaning, sound, and rhythmic language choices so as to evoke an emotional response. It has been known as music of ideas and employs meter and rhyme, but this is by no means necessary. In fact, poetry has been around for thousands of years. However, we might think of the epic poem as the first instance of poetry, appearing as early as the 20th century BC. The Epic of Gilgamesh is often cited as one of the earliest works of epic poetry, dating back to the 18th century BC. Consisting of Sumerian poems, it is a text that was discovered through many different Babylonian tablet versions during archaeological excavations. A list of the most notable works of epic poetry, at least in the Western world, would have to include the Iliad and the Odyssey, both works of Greek mythology that have been attributed to the poet Homer. Throughout history, poetry has appeared in different forms. The sonnet form became best known as an English poetic form through the work of William Shakespeare in the 16th century. Where did the poetic form lead after the sonnet? Elizabethan poetry of the 1500s soon shifted into Restoration poetry, and a marked turn away from the sonnet. Following the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, the English Restoration period, from 1660 to 1689, saw the rise of literary elites such as John Dryden, perhaps one of the best known names of English literary criticism, translation, drama, and poetry. The form of the mock heroic and the use of poetic form for satire did not end with Dryden. Alexander Pope, most famous for his work The Rape of the Lock, 1712, carried on Dryden's tradition of using poetry for comedic ends. Poetry was for centuries a mainstream art, and writers such as Spenser, Milton, Donne, Blake, Wordsworth, Tennyson, and Browning created a world of beauty, of images and forms, as enduring as the painting of the Renaissance or the music of the classical age. Their work became part of the English consciousness. The story of English poetry could be seen in terms of a tension between formal mastery and individual expression, a tension in which the Romantic movement was crucial in focusing attention on the personal vision of the poet. Blake, Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, Tennyson, and Whitman were exploring their own selfhood and their response to the world. They were no longer interested in perfecting existing models or in being part of any school. Yet by the 20th and 21st centuries, modernism and the waves of change brought about by World War also influenced poetry, resulting in works by poets with distinct voices who came to enjoy global circulation. Poetry may no longer enjoy the position of centrality in our culture, but the music of ideas that these new poets developed is still among the most precious legacies that we have received from the past. This history explores that legacy and shows how vital and challenging modern poetry can be. The difficult words in yellow: meter, rhyme, excavations, sonnet, elites, mock, satire, Renaissance, legacies.